All right, that's my cue. We're gonna get started with the good stuff today. But first, I gotta tell you who I am and tell you a little bit about Vets to Industry before I introduce our amazing speaker. But I'm Carmen White. I'm an Air Force veteran, and I work for Vets to Industry full time. I have the amazing privilege to do that, so we can do a lot more behind the scenes to help you get the jobs that you deserve as you transition out of the military. But before we get started, I'm going to post some codes for you to change to. This will help you through the event as you're networking, and then also when you go to your breakout room so that everyone can identify like who you are. So if you're a career speaker, you'll want to change beside your name, you'll want to put a C. And you'll do that by if you go to the top right-hand corner of your picture and scroll down to where it says rename. If you're a career seeker, put C. If you are a recruiter, put R. If you are representing an educational institution or your next pursuit is education, put E. If you are representing your veteran-owned business, put VB, or your spouse-owned business, put SB. And then if you are a supporter and you just want to help, put S. And if you are representing a veteran service organization, you could put V or VSO. And then if you're a Vets to Industry volunteer and you're helping out today, just put V2I and then your name. And again, I'll put that here in the chat so you can see it. And then one more thing, we have a great event planned for you today with an amazing keynote speaker that he's very supportive of the military community and reached out to us to share from his busy schedule. You're going to learn more through the intro, but before we get to him, I do want to share that we have a few events this month to help you. So we have tomorrow we have our financial planning one-on-one with financial advisor Kimberly Schultz. So that'll just be an hour with her sharing information about preparing your finances if you're retiring or if you have transitioned, some things that you need to know to stay on track financially. And then we have our first Your Next Mission transition webinar on August 22nd. And that is this month's topic is going to be on your resume and then your brand. So our facilitator is going to cover LinkedIn and then some resume topics that you need to know. And so it's like a hybrid session. You have that first part of the facilitator teaching you and walking you through the steps, and then you'll have the next part where you get some hands-on, some time to do hands-on activities and answer questions directly with the facilitator. And we'll share the links with those events as we progress through our event today, so you can register and be there. But now for the good part, I get to introduce our speaker. So I'm very proud to introduce Dr. Keith Ablow. He spent 25 years practicing psychiatry before founding paintopower.com, a life coaching platform dedicated to helping people overcome adversity and reclaim their personal strength. He is the author of 16 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers. His self-help book, Living the Truth, has been translated into several languages, and he was for 12 years a Fox News Network on-air national contributor and was the host of a syndicated television show. His articles on psychology have been published by the Washington Post, the New York Post, USA Today, the New York Times, and many other publications. And he has appeared on national television over 1,000 times on programs including The Today Show, Good Morning America, Oprah, and Inside Edition. Dr. Ablow is also the co-founder of Help22.org, a non-for-profit organization dedicated to reducing suicide among America's veterans. So as you can see, we have a celebrity in the house today, and he is giving his time to give back. And I cannot wait for you to hear from him. So I'm turning it over to you, Dr. Ablow.
Oh, thank you so much, Carmen. Hopefully everyone can see my screen, not just hear my voice. And the First of all, I want to thank everybody at Vets to Industry for having me. They're very gracious to do so. And for any of you who have served or work with veterans, which is probably all of you, thank you for your service in whatever way you rendered it or are rendering it. Um, this is called this address. I'll keep it to 20 minutes, then we'll take some questions. Um, Becoming the chairman of your own board. What do I mean by that? Well, really, every one of us isn't just one voice inside us. We all have an inner boardroom, and we have to ask ourselves the question, are you going to run the meeting or just attend it? That's the question. You know, one of this just talks about some of my experience. I've worked with CEOs, I've worked with athletes, artists, lots of veterans, and I am really proud to have co-founded help22.org because we provide an alternative resource for counseling and coaching America's veterans with an eye toward preventing self-harm. But the biggest lesson that I learned from all of these years practicing psychiatry and then life coaching and consulting is that we're all stories, every one of us. Um, Human beings are narrative thinkers. And what that means is that um, you are both vulnerable because as you try to come up with your story, you're living your life. So it's an amazing talent that we have this sensitivity and this ability to think of ourselves as stories and to try to understand what different events mean in the context of our unfolding narratives. But it also means that it makes us vulnerable. And because of that, you have to, I believe, come to understand, well, what is the cast of characters that have developed inside of me? It's not just one voice, as I've said. Really, we have a board of directors in our minds, and that gives us a tremendous opportunity to say, you know what, if I run the meeting, the metaphorical meeting of my mind, I can really make things happen in a way that is most productive for me and which de-emphasizes those voices or parts of me. This isn't multiple personality disorder. This is everybody, right? That de-emphasizes the parts of me that are less productive and powerful and emphasizes the parts of me that are more productive and powerful. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, the fact that we all have an internal boardroom. You know, talking to yourself gets a bad rap. People say, that it's a sign of instability or something. We all do it though. Like, who doesn't talk to himself? Maybe we don't do it, on the street corner, but I do sometimes, when I'm really thinking. And we do this stuff. We give ourselves pep talks. We talk ourselves out of things. We say, hey, go for it, or don't risk it. And since all of us do it, we should really come to understand, well, what is that? Because it isn't, as I've said, it isn't that you have one harmonious voice. That would be easy. In your head, we're all comprised of distinct parts. And those parts get created over time, which we'll talk about. That's partly what I'm referencing. Because we're stories, but because we're living our lives, that narrative has a backstory. And, I write novels, not just self-help books or sometimes true crime books. The backstory is an incredibly important part of any novel. Why? Because nobody will resonate with the story of the main character if you don't know what happened in the early chapters of that character's life. You have to know it, or nothing that the character does will seem authentic. That's because we're comprised of all of the chapters of our lives, all of the pages. And what happens as you're living your life and as this story, this narrative of your life is taking shape, distinct parts of you are created. Luckily, they're generally integrated, but they still exist. And this is for everybody. It's a healthy thing. It's not a sign of pathology. They're shaped by life experiences. And as I've said, when you take control of them, I've discovered, and this was a discovery for me. It's based on other theories and philosophies too, which we'll get into. But I really did realize as I was working with clients that there was an amazing opportunity at hand. That if you give someone license to say, you know what, treat yourself as the chairman of the board, assume that there are multiple parts of you and that you are going to need to take control firmly and empathetically of the parts that are sort of rogue members of the board. And you're going to want to invite the strongest members of the board to be participating more. So literally, you can picture it in your head. I sometimes do, sitting at the head of a board table, and there's a cast of characters. They're all you, by the way, but they're also somewhat compartmentalized, and they are potentially very hyperbolic in their perspectives. And we'll get into that. How do you deal with this? Um, One thing is you remind yourself, listen, no matter how rough the seas are, and that's what's at the bottom of the slide, I can still take control because I'm the chairman of the board. We forget this. And that's scary for people. When they forget that they're the chairman of the board, that leads people to feel out of control and they can be hijacked. Their best intentions can be frustrated. They can feel like the world is foreign and full of fear because and risk because somebody at the board table is commandeering the meeting. That might be a very anxious part of someone. It might be a very risk-oriented part of someone. It might be a very angry part of somebody. So let's move on here. Again, I didn't invent all of the concepts that feed into what I sort of call the chairman method. It has a history. One of the histories is Dr. Richard Schwartz, Internal Family Systems, which basically says that there are parts to everyone and that self-leadership is key to charting the course through adversity, and that matters a lot to me. That's why I created pain2power.com, the number two, pain2power.com, so people can get through adversity and mine the treasures that come with having confronted adversity. But a calm and compassionate and very clear center of you, Dr. Schwartz said, is the part of you that should lead the other parts. So you want to find what is that? That's the core self. The more you can develop that, that's like your anchor. Again, it's you sitting at the head of the table and possessed of those qualities that all of us value, compassion, um, perseverance, the ability to listen to the other parts of you, because the last thing you would want to do is dismiss the other parts of you. Second, ego state therapy, which, again, gets at this. John and Helen Watkins, who said, and I agree, we all have semi-independent ways of sort of relating to ourselves, and plural, ourselves. That, there can be part of us that's more ego-driven and part of us that is more self-effacing. No one is one note. We're really musical compositions, and acknowledging that and then harnessing the symphony, if you will, or the orchestra to play the best music is what it's all about. So I really like this one, self-distancing research, Dr. Ethan Kross, who noticed or put forward the theory that when you talk to yourself as another party might, when you talk to yourself in the second person, that your brain and mind hears it as though you're getting advice from another person. So if you were to say, Keith or Jen or Dory or David, talking to yourself, Keith, calm down. Your brain hears it as though someone's advising you that way. It doesn't come as an echo. Part of your brain and mind appreciates that as support. which is an amazing thing. I mean, think about that. It really does go with the chairman method because why would your brain interpret it that way? Well, because we're built that way. Another element is compassion-focused therapy. Dr. Gilbert, who said that thoughts and feelings should be treated with compassion, not criticism. Again, that's one of the bases of the chairman method, which is a firm chairman at the head of the table who's not an angry person, not throwing anyone out of the room, right? Because all parts of us are welcome. The question is, how do we optimize them? How do we get the best from everybody who's arriving at the meeting? And narrative psychology, again, says, listen, you can partly address these parts of yourselves by giving them names. So it's very productive, by the way, because you can then talk to the parts of yourself. You become the master of your own ship. You become the head of the company of yourself by doing this. And so you might call yourself Anxious Keith. Part of you, by the way, that's one member at the board table. You're the chairman of the board, that compassionate, focused, strong self, we hope. That's you. You remind yourself that's who you are. But around the board table, there are other parts of you, and they have names. And you can address them as you would a dear friend who has certain strengths but certain weaknesses. And you can advise that part of you. And guess what? Um, as self-distancing research says, that part of you will hear it as though it is coming from another part of you, from outside of you, from a mentor, if you will. So now, first of all, how do these parts develop? As I said, we're all stories, right? And we're both very lucky to be narrative thinkers as humans. It's an amazing thing. You can plan your future, you can put your past into context, but it also means that we're affected by life events. No one's immune. And so if you've had very polarizing life events, what do? Do you keep it at the forefront of your thinking at all times? Well, no, you don't, because that's just too much, right? So people tend to compartmentalize these things. We create parts of ourselves, and those parts hold that affect. It holds that experience so that it doesn't have to be front and center in your life at all times. That's a good thing because if you were bullied as a kid, I'm just picking something, you wouldn't want to confront all of life on the run. You wouldn't want to confront all of life angry or vindictive. And so one thing your mind does, your mind and your heart, because again, humans are amazing creatures. I think they're spectacular. Um, uh, but also we can't deal with too much in the way of emotional input all the time. So we create crucibles, if you will, holding parts of ourselves. And so that part of you that, let's say, survived bullying, it's still inside you. The issue is that since it got compartmentalized into a part of you, luckily, by the way, it can sometimes arrive at the board meeting and try to take control. It could try to take control of most meetings. So at times, you're going to need to address that part of you and say, I understand. Um, bullied Pete, I understand that you're interpreting everything that's happening right now in the context through the lens of what happened in second grade. I get it. And that was painful. And I want to hear about that. But this isn't second grade. We're going to be okay. And again, using that narrative sensibility, it will change things. It will allow you to get further down the road in an integrated way because you've used the parts, which might seem counterintuitive, but it really isn't. And again, how does it happen? You get traumatized, you live through things. Everybody does, by the way. I don't know anyone immune to life's, you know, ups and downs. And then you wall off the emotions often. You avoid conflict based on that, and you try to preserve your identity as a whole person by putting things in little chambers. The trouble is that those chambers aren't airtight. Maybe that's a good thing, actually. They become leaky, and one can predominate over another. So, again, picturing that board table at the meeting. You can have someone who arrives at the board all the time, anxious and wanting to take control of the meeting and end it. You can have someone arrive who's trying to commandeer the meeting out of anger. And if you notice a theme building, that's super important because if there's a voice in your head, a part of you that's always saying, let's get out of this. This opportunity, it's gonna end up biting us. It's gonna end up as a bad thing. It wouldn't do to let that part of you commandeer the meeting all the time. You're gonna need what we talked about, the chairman, the compassionate, strong part of you to say, listen, I'm not dismissing what you say, but not everything is a risk. Not every opportunity is a bad thing. Yes, we watched our dad go through trouble because he took a risk and he lost the family business, whatever it might be. And by the way, of course, we're talking here amongst veterans and those who serve them. And we're talking about people who've rendered service that has exposed them to extreme events that can really make this hyperbolic and make it so important to give back control to the chairman of the board. By the way, just knowing that you're chairman of the board, as I alluded to in a previous slide, that's a lot in and of itself to keep reminding yourself, well, wait a second, I do have control here. It's my meeting. Uh, right. And so I think that can be very important. And so, sorry, here we go. Um, Examples of members of the board that might exist, people coming to the board meeting, anxious Andy, okay? Maybe people lived through things early in life or later in life that have led them to be worried. Um, Knowing that there are those events that have taken place and that have created these parts of you, or Moody Martha, or Guilty Gigi, or right, Sammy Shame. Giving these things names allows you to address them, which is an amazing thing. Who knew? I've literally had folks who I've been able to get to set aside a habit, a very bad habit, by using this method. So I'll tell somebody who even has obsessive compulsive symptoms and might want to turn off a light switch and turn it back on 100 times in order to deal with anxiety. Hey, listen, you better talk to Light Switch Larry and listen to that person, right? Because as I say here, the chairman listens to every inner voice with respect and then leads them toward a unified decision serving the highest goals of the group. That's the key. And in order to do that, you say, listen, light switch, Larry, I get what you're feeling. You want to touch the light switch again. You want to do it dozens of times. You think the house will burn down if you don't. We're not going to do that. Now, listen, I know what I'm asking of you. I know that that's going to cause a lot of angst. I'm asking you to ride with me on this. Maybe we'll do it a little later, huh? Because we don't want to interrupt the meeting right now. There are things going on in our life that we need to let unfold. And I've had people in my coaching practice who say, "Yeah, I was able to stop doing it. I keep thinking about Light Switch Larry and talking to him and asking him, by the way, what's going on, by the way, for you?" Well, I'm wild with anxiety, man. I mean, it always goes away when I do that. And then you can literally start to be your own therapist because you can say, yeah, I know, but here's what's going to happen. We're creating a pattern. You're never going to feel okay if you touch it. Can you ride with me on this? Can you make this a project for us? And people can. I've seen it work with cigarettes. I've seen it work with relationships. And I think we should harness this in service to ourselves, by the way, and those we work with, because it's such a powerful potential force. Um, so you have to make the decision. I'm going to go through the steps here. Um, First, you have to decide, all right, I'm going to be the chairman. Uh, and though it may seem stilted, it doesn't for very long. People may say this feels artificial at first. Yeah, it won't. In fact, if you have people write out the dialogue, it's totally amazing. Once you decide you're the chairman, and if you were to, because I like to write, you know that, if you were to write out the different parts, there are times where I do this and I am blown back in my seat by something that a part of me will write that I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was thinking? Yeah, but you didn't have access to it because it was compartmentalized. But now you've called the parts out. You've given them a voice and a safe space, right? Because this isn't about saying you're not welcome at the meeting. Of course, you're welcome at the meeting, but we got to have a meeting. And we got to move with decisiveness toward a particular goal as a team or a company or comrades at arms here, right? And so you decide to lead your inner voices, not follow them. You can picture yourself, as I do, literally at the head of the boardroom table. Picture the room. Things have to happen in the room. Maybe we need to heal a relationship. Maybe we need to build a, a business. Maybe we need to get through a job situation. And we're going to use this as a device. We know it's a device. That's the beauty of it. And you want to identify, well, who's commandeering the meeting? Who's the loudest voice? Who should I talk to? And who should I let talk back to me? Because I'm going to discover things about myself and I'm going to be able, because of the magic of addressing oneself, selves, to come up with the best plan moving forward. And I mean moving forward. And again, naming these things gives you the power to engage in this dialogue, which is based in so much great theory and again, which I call this chairman process. Um, so I think also it's been very helpful for me to remind people and myself that these parts of yourself aren't to be criticized. They're not to be jettisoned. They're all welcome at the table. I said your past isn't your prison, it's your power. You survived, right? So now all your doubt can be fuel for real victories, but not if you get blindsided by parts of you that are taking over and which you don't need to let take over because if you think of light switch Larry turning the light switch on and off in the room 1,000 times, that can be avoided by talking to Larry. Over time, not immediately, listening and providing some guidance. And here you go, right? So, second step, you lead with calmness, you listen. This is a part of you. You love the parts of you, but you want to emphasize the strongest parts and de emphasize the parts that are seditious in a way, taking over the meeting, right? So you want to have some authority when you're talking to a part of yourself that is trying to take over the meeting. But you also want to hear, because as I said, if you do this at home, which, I kind of recommend, there'll be moments that, you're kind of blown back and you're like, I can't believe I was thinking that. And what a gift that is to have access to a part of yourself that was hidden and compartmentalized. And what did you have to do? All you had to do was invite that part of you to come forward and address it with authority from the center. Um, Next, step three, you're going to collaborate on a plan. And that's if you take the bullied example and you have part of you that's always feeling like rumbling with anybody who disagrees with you, you're ready to go to war. You know, warring Warren needs to hear that not everything is the schoolyard, that was a long time ago, but you want to hear how painful it was to go through that. And sure, warring Warren thinks the best defense is an overwhelming offense. But we can talk to that person who attends the board meeting and say, listen, here's the thing, we're safer now. We're not at that age and at that stage. We've had challenges and we've met them. You can afford to listen even when people are angry and getting a little bit in your face. It's okay. Can we try that? And so you work together to create actions that honor the alignment that you want to have toward your greatest goals. And you remind yourself the whole time you're the chairman, you're like the group therapist. The group is all you, but parts of you that you're coaching into an alliance and getting them aligned directionally. So, step four, you really want to talk not only in a way that seeks more information from that part of you, but also, you know, there is gratitude toward it, toward every part of ourselves, because they are all us. And reassuring that part of yourself, listen, I'm not trying to shut you up or strangle you. I'm not saying that, there's no opportunity to be heard. In fact, I'm going to check in with you and I want to hear what you're thinking. And by the way, if people do write this out as dialogue, and a lot of people like to write, that's a wonderful exercise because it will never end. I promise. If you identify 5 parts of you and you let them have access to a dialogue you're writing out, and you do this a couple times a week, it'll never end. You'll get more and more and more insight into yourself or yourselves. You'll get more aligned. The parts of you that you'd say, man, I don't want that part commandeering me, won't as much anymore, as long as you've listened and provided guidance and you remind yourself, hey, I'm the chairman. It is my meeting after all. And we're going to get through this and we're going to win, because I think people in the end can win against almost anything. Um, so again, this is just, I've already talked a bit about this, but these are some thoughts that might get shared when I connect. I picture losing people and I relive that pain. Okay, but let's talk about how that developed, and whether this is really that moment anymore. And man, that's a loss, right? Because if you don't allow yourself to forge new relationships, you're going to be deprived of a lot of things. Let's think about this. But I do want to hear about the losses. And again, don't be surprised if you hear of losses that you thought you had forgotten. It's all you, by the way. That's what I think some of the magic of this is. It's all you, and yet these are different parts of you. We're not going to let it isolate us. We'll keep the dinner plans. It can be something as mundane as that, you come to be anxious about moving the relationship forward, a friendship, whatever kind of relationship might be, a business partnership, romantic relationship, because things didn't go well in the past. And again, we're narrative creatures. Everyone has a backstory. We're vulnerable and beautiful. And we have to treat ourselves as such and say, I want to read the story of my own existence. I don't want pages of my existence glued shut. I sometimes feel as though people live their lives. This would be a terrifying thing, as if you were told, read the first 35 pages of this story, then go to page 220, read 30 more pages, and write the ending. You'd say, well, wait a second. I feel anxious and upset here because I'm missing all of those pages in the middle. I don't know what they're about. I don't know the characters who are in them. This is about getting those pages back. and coming up with the best chapters moving forward. So, why it works? You're leading instead of fighting yourself. You're acknowledging that people can attend the meeting. People, you, the parts of you. You are giving them credit that, listen, I get it. You don't hate me. You're here to protect me because of what we went through. However, different day, different stage. Let's move forward together. This reduces inner conflict, and you're able to turn, again, metaphorically, a chaotic meeting in your mind into a coordinated team. And then you get a strategy out of that. And this becomes, I believe, word choice intentional, self-fulfilling, meaning that it builds the self, the core of who people really, truly are. Instead of you being commandeered by compartmentalized parts of oneself that get too much play at the meeting and can take over the whole meeting. So tonight's mission, or any day's mission, is you acknowledge the board and the boardroom. You identify, well, which voice is trying to take over or getting too much play. If there's one, maybe you have a great voice who's in charge that day. And then you engage the various voices. You can do this in your mind, talking to yourself, which I said gets a bad rep, but hey, we all do it, and we should learn to do it the best way. Or you can write it out, and then you unify and move forward. And if you do this a couple times a week, 3 times a week, whatever you can manage, it's sort of like journaling in a way, you're going to move forward, and you'll notice this with greater purpose, and I believe less angst. And it may well be that if you've got a habit you really don't like, or a part of you or someone you're working with that is really counterproductive, that naming that part, um, and treating it with compassion but firmness, you can change things very quickly, because it was all happening underground, and now it's not happening underground. The parts have been brought forward and you're seeing them. And then you can decide how to handle that. And so that's the presentation. And I'd love to take any questions if there are any questions. Let's see. Okay, so we have raised hands. So yeah, David, um, your question?
I do. Yeah, so I put it in the chat, but I asked, would this work with bad coping habits to replace them with skillful coping habits? And when the person has become so accustomed to doing the unhelpful habit or flawed thinking, how can you get them to be receptive to change?
Ah, yeah, and so yes, I think it is extremely useful to deal with different kinds of coping habits, because you name it. So now you're personifying a particular coping pattern. And if you love that coping pattern, great. Give it more play at the meeting. If you don't, then you address it in this sort of firm and compassionate way, and you suggest an alternative way of proceeding. Are a lot of these very firmly rooted? No question about it. That's the nature of humans. But I think as part of an overall strategy, I almost stumbled on this, and then I was shocked by how productive it actually could be, and I think it can dislodge what seem to be cemented coping patterns, because it's so novel. There's a bit of fun to it, and it has good karma to it and compassion, but insistence, like we're moving on from this particular pattern. And it needs repetition, by the way. It's not an immediate thing. And Trevor, did you want to ask your question, or I can try to find it on the chat? But
Yeah. So you caught me right when I was in the middle of taking a drink.
so am I. Yeah.
So I was wondering, you're talking about having a lot of these internal conversations, is there a way to incorporate an AI persona or AI tool into these?
I think that's brilliant, and that's what I want to do. I think that there's absolutely that possibility to build a tool that folks can use to do this, that is that allows them to do this over time, and that would have tremendously powerful impact in terms of getting people to say, "Yeah, I have a way of continuing this process that's in my pocket on my phone, maybe with additional input from uh, a legion, if you wanted to give an AI of therapeutic voices that say, have you thought about it this way for anxious Andy? So no, I think the AI is, perfect for this. Even though, look, I love human to human contact, but since a lot of this is happening internally for people, sure, why not?
I also have another question. If you do, the names always have to be alliterative?
No, give me an example of one that wouldn't be.
Well, just anything, could be Light Switch Steve instead of Light Switch Larry.
Yeah, it does not have to be. I guess yeah, the writer inside me took control of that. I'll have to talk to the writer inside me. It
It's
it
awesome.
certainly does not need to be. The important thing I think is naming these things and then bringing them out, out onto the stage. Um, so I forget it. I think Mark Twain said something like, "Don't tell me about an older woman who's dressed in rags. Bring her out on the stage and let me see her." And that's kind of what we're doing. We're bringing people out onto the stage so that they're not hidden anymore. People. I mean, parts of ourselves, our people. So let's see. I don't know if there are other questions, but I'm not seeing other hands raised. I don't think. David.
Yeah, I did have another question, sorry. But
Yeah.
as a follow-up, how can you encourage to promote usage of one of those healthy coping mechanisms when the person says, they're fine with, even though they're miserable, they're comfortable with that misery because it's better the devil you know
Mm.
type statement. And they're also like, there's some apprehension, I think, because they know that if they tried that mechanism, that could work for them. But if they try it and fail, now they have nothing to fall back on. Like,
Right. Well, one thing I tell people is don't worry. Since you already have someone at the board meeting who is very comfortable taking control and tends to do it quite a lot, it's you feel like you don't want to abandon that. Nothing about this process is going to suddenly throw that person out of the room and leave you without a voice. It won't happen. And so it's sort of like if you shouted all the time and someone said, well, you're saying to always think that maybe I'm shouting, but what if I end up not speaking or whispering? And I would say, look, dude, you're like at 1,000 decibels. The likelihood is not likely, but that protest, by the way, is such a great question, David, because that protest shows how much people come to rely on polarized parts of themselves out of fear. They're like, I don't want to let this go. It served me well, is what they should come to understand by doing this work. It served me well. It's not serving you well, dude, though, right? Because here's the evidence. And that's what I would say lovingly is, listen, the evidence is that it's costing you. And why is it costing you? Because you're letting this rogue, if you will, part of yourself, or not rogue, call it hyperbolic, controlling part of yourself, take control of the whole meeting. It's okay. You're safer than that. And that's what the chairman should tell the other parts. If I'm involved as the coach, I would tell someone that, but that's what the chairman should say. Look, I get it. You feel as though if you don't lead with anger, you're going to get bulldozed. Totally get it. Not true, but I totally get it. Now, tell me more, by the way, about why you think that. And again, I'm shocked myself at what comes back. Well, why do I think that? And you're sitting there typing. Why do I think that? Because blank, blank, blank. You're like, whoa, whoa, interesting. Let me think through that with you. So there you have it. Toy with it, play with it. I think it can be an incredibly powerful tool for people. Again, why? Because we're an amazing species and we're creatures of narrative. And, we can harness that to bring forward the best in us.
Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And thanks to the organization and everyone for listening through the presentation. I hope the rest of your meeting goes spectacularly well.
I did
Dr.
ask two
Abloh, there's
questions.
one more question for you.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry.
Someone shared that they liked when you made the point of not chasing your pain. And they asked, how can you apply that to when you're job searching and you keep getting rejected for
Ah,
roles, or when you've been let go suddenly and you have to start all over again?
right. Well, first of all, I think you want to know, well, what does that mean to me? Like, let's say you've been let go suddenly and it lays you very low. Um, you wouldn't want, this is the part of me that thinks that life story really matters. That's 99% of me. Maybe it's 100%. You'd want to say, listen, this has really, really impacted me. In what other cases in my life have I had sudden losses? Okay, so let's say we name that part of ourselves and we say there's someone at this meeting who just wants lights out on this meeting. Like, I can't believe that you're telling me I'm not the secretary of the meeting anymore and that I might not be invited to future meetings. Even in that setting, you can say, hey, tell me, by the way, why you're concluding that. Why is this in that way so completely devastating that you don't want the meeting to continue? And that part of you may well say, well, listen, I mean, we've been through this 10 times, but it started when we were very, very young with X. And then you have an opportunity to counsel that part of yourself and say, I get that, and I want to hear more about it. But you're concluding that the next chapter is going to be the same as those that have come before. And that's not at all necessarily true. By the way, just as an aside, since it's a question from somebody who's attending, you'll notice that if you're at a movie and the main character is in all kinds of trouble, nobody walks out, throws away their popcorn, and says, Tom Cruise is in a mess, in a jam. Let's get out of here. Never. We only do that in our own lives. What do people do at a movie? They sit tight and they say, I wonder what's going to happen. Every single person. It's not easy to do that in our own lives at times, but stay in the meeting, let the chairman run the meeting. Good things will unfold. They really will. And one other thing about no job or, hey, I've got a bunch of no's from prospective employers. One of my favorite books is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And in the back of the book, there's the afterword from his anniversary edition. The book sold like 10 million copies, in which he says, it was the 122nd publisher that said yes to this book. He got 121 rejection letters. And he said, the question has to be asked, why did I send it out again? And he said, the answer is sending it out again seemed to have higher quality than not sending it out again. That's all. So really, things come down to that. Can you say to yourself, would it be better to stop? No. It's better to keep going and think about yourself in that movie cinema saying, There are plot points to every film. You can't write a screenplay that doesn't have two plot points in it, or nobody wants to watch the movie. Plot points are where the action spins entirely around into a whole new set of possibilities, and all it takes is one moment for that to happen.
Thank you. And Gary has his hand raised.
Hey, Gary. I think you might be. There you go.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
All right. I got a question. Wait a minute. There's some feedback here.
It's just your personas. It's the part of you.
Multiple personalities, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I got a question for you regarding I'm hearing about like childhood issues where like you have a bully in your own meeting and every single time you gotta like say the bully's trying to take over the meeting and you just want to, I think David said punch it in the face. So let's just call this just call this bully David the bully. I forget the actual name of it of the bully, but anyways, so you listen
David.
to why David always wants to take over the meeting. Instead of punching him in the face, you just say, okay, I understand that, but this way is not helping us. Let's try to work out a different way, if I'm hearing you correctly, because I was writing a lot of things down as you were speaking, but I couldn't quite get everything at the time.
Yeah, you say, let's work out a different way. And then you say, but listen, I mean, I want to know why this is happening. Like, obviously, if you're trying to commandeer or bully your way through the meeting, you must have a reason why you feel you need to do that. What's the reason? And to listen empathetically to that, and to then respond as a really good leader would, to say, I get it, I do. And I'll always want to hear more, but we got to get through the meeting, and we can't do it by steamrolling everyone. So when you tend to take control of the meeting, when you tend to be part of social gatherings or workplace gatherings and to be the bully because you're scared. Now we know you're scared. You told me that. That upends everything. And so I know you're scared or you're reacting, but let's work on that and try to just take a beat, a breath, and see how that goes at the next meeting.
Okay, so since you should be your own best friend, right? So if you're the CEO of the board, I've also heard of dealing with like try to talk to yourself like you would your best friend.
Well, I
So
think
like
that's
you
true.
can't fire David the bully or whatever, even though you want to, or knock him out or whatever. But you can't do that. So you have to listen with compassion and understand it, but yet still remain firm. Like, okay, we're gonna get through this meeting.
Yeah, nobody gets fired. Nobody gets humiliated or thrown out of the meeting. Everyone gets listened to and brought along.
Okay. Does this somehow, some way equate to oh, what's the thing that I heard? Oh, healing the wounded inner child? If stuff that happens when you were in the past? Is it sort of
Well,
like that? Or
I think
shadow
there's
work or like
I
I'm
think there
YouTubing
are
myself
elements.
here.
No, I think that
I
there
watch
are
some of these things.
I think there are elements of all of that in this. It's just a different way of doing that. It's just a
Okay.
different sort of device to do that. And again, why did I share it? Because I've seen it be so powerful as a device and technique. But certainly there are others, but this one deserves probably a place at the table.
Okay. And if you were trying to work a way around this situation, like I wrote down what you said, just because the last chapter is it always going to be the next chapter, right?
That's right. The last
So, sorry, go
say
ahead.
again.
No, I was going to ask you is if like that's an interesting way of looking at a different perspective that I haven't quite seen it before. So, is there any other kind of helpful pieces of advice you can throw out?
About this technique or
Right.
about life?
Well, I mean, like you got 15, how many years? How many years you've been doing this? I'm sure you got a
Yeah,
lot more
I've
years
been
than we
doing it a
have
long
time here to
time.
talk, but
I've been doing it a long time. Um, yeah, I mean, there are other insights that I like to share with people. Of course, one of them is that movie cinema one. Another is, this notion of your pages being glued together. And I guess I would add this. The notion that your wounded inner child or that the past ought not be approached because it could overwhelm you is a myth. They're paper tigers. The trouble with the past is when you ignore it and it stays underground and it changes into something more harmful. Because the past, if not looked at, does not remain at a distance. It ends up coming up in front of you.
It's sort of like the body keeps the score.
Well, I guess that's true for if you were thinking about the body and psychology. Yes, but the mind keeps the score too. The soul keeps the score.
Right.
And
And if I could interject here for just one last question, I know we could go on the whole time, but we have one more question from Kishana, and then we'll have to move forward with the.
sure.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Sorry.
No, not sorry at all. Hi, Kishana. Oh, I think you're muted.
I was definitely muted. I was just curious as to what your perspective is on how does personality types play into trauma and how you handle rejection and your coping strategies. And just what are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think profoundly. And so, yeah, that's kind of like music in the background of the board meeting, right? It's hard to get the board meeting aligned if there's rock music playing, and that has to be dealt with too. But it can be. And noticing it, by the way, is one of the ways to make it something that you can deal with and uh, optimize. I was going to say neutralize, but optimize. So yeah, great question.
Dr. Ablo, can you do a part two?
I'd be happy to. And we'll set it up.
We
Very nice meeting everyone in this way, and maybe we'll meet again.
Thank you. And we put Dr. Abelow's contact information from LinkedIn and his nonprofit website in the chat. So if you want to check that out and donate, and we really appreciate you for dropping by and sharing your wisdom with us. We know you have lots of other engagements, but we really appreciate you taking time for our community today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you all. Talk soon.
Thank you. All right, and before we'll switch up the schedule a little bit. Oh wait, no, we won't. We'll stay on target. I'm going to turn it over to our sponsor so he can share more about Signal Health Group, and then we'll give our recruiters the floor to share any of their open roles. So Joel, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, that conversation was very engaging, so I don't mind keeping a little short today and get to everybody else. So with all those voices in your head, if there's one of them that might be an entrepreneur saying, I need to go into business for myself, Signal Health Group is a franchise that can help you do that in the senior care space. When I first started working with Signal Health Group over 2.5 years ago as their director of franchise development, the first thing I did was I was like, hey, Han, which is our CEO, why don't we invest in veterans instead of investing in like a lot of other kind of involved franchise development tactics? And she really liked the idea. And so for veterans, we fully finance our franchise fee and our license assistance fee to help you get set up and going. So if you've thought about owning your own business and you're looking into the senior care space, so this is non-medical senior care, which is like companionship and helping them with day-to-day stuff. It can also expand into medical in the future, which is getting into Medicare and home health aides and a lot of that stuff, as well as hospice. Feel free to just book a call and learn some more. With our internal financing to get started with non-medical, we look for veterans that have about $10,000 for seed capital to get their business going, and about a 650 credit score. That's all we're really looking for. So if this is something that might interest you, getting into senior care, helping the elderly and those among us that need the most help, and making money while making a difference, it doesn't take more than an hour of your time to book a call with me and dig into that. So I'm gonna drop a flyer in the chat here, as well as my Calendly link, and you can just, if you want to set up a meeting, just book a time. I'll turn it back over to you, Carmen.
Thank you, Joel. All right, so now we're gonna turn it over to our recruiters. This is your time. Come off mute. If you have any open roles, feel free to share them now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Reginald Lyerly, and I am a cybersecurity recruitment strategist for DNA Diversity Executive Search. I am a veteran. I served 23 years in the Army, and I do nothing but help people within the cybersecurity community. So if someone's looking to break into it, or if they're if they're already in the industry and they're looking to for further opportunities, I definitely assist with that. My LinkedIn profile is is in the chat. Feel free to connect. I'll be happy to connect with you. And if I cannot help with cybersecurity, I may know other fields, but helping veterans, it's just to me, it's a way of life. You never really stop serving when you take the uniform off. You just find what's best for you, and you keep pushing forward. So thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Reginald. If we have any others, just feel free to come off mute.
Yes, ma'am. Do I need to raise my hand first, though? Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I'm turning my. Reginald, I sent you a link, by the way, because I have masters in cyber. So my name is Jesse Davis. I also am trying to help because I got laid off as a government employee on let me put this on lunch break, by the way. Sorry, just so I can make sure. All right. Anyways, I got let go as a government employee April 9th, and I know what a lot of people are going through in the tech industry. Right now I'm working IT help desk, and I am, I don't know how long the contract is going to last. But I got a master's in cyber. I can't get hands on, but I have started my own business teaching the cyber certs. I plan on helping active members, reservists. I'm charging a third of the price. I did get a contract with CompTIA. And also I help as a contractor through Rapid Ascent, so that those that are looking to get an apprenticeship, I'm trying to convince Rapid Ascent they need to kind of shift gears to help the spouses as well, because they are charging 18,000 out of the GI Bill, which is great, grand and wonderful, but you've got spouses and you got kids, and and then you've got Chapter 35 different things. Military One Source, they've got the MyCA scholarship. I know of a lot of things. I've been teaching college part-time for the last 5 years, and I would like to employ veterans myself. I'm trying to work on becoming an RPO, registered practitioner, to do the CMMC. It's going to take me some time to get it up and running for that piece. But for those of you that are looking to get a chance to get the entry levels, your CompTIA certs, I teach those, show you what you need to do to pass them. And I've been teaching those for a while, and I intend to employ veterans on 1099 to let them teach the course. And again, you're going to be keeping more of that from the course than me. I do have to pay CompTIA their part, but I'm trying not to take too long. Sorry if I'm not. But cybersecurity is big to me. Hopefully with Reginald, networking, we can refer you guys to some spots. I know some companies that are hiring. Rapid Ascent helps you get hired as well. And I can also show you the core classes where you can get it free if you're a veteran or a spouse, I can actually get you A classes for free through the CA Workforce Development. My department chair in New Mexico, they're one of the schools for it. So please, if you've paid taxes, get your tax dollars back. I know how to, the grant money's still there. Hopefully, knock on wood, that doesn't disappear too, with what's going on. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I want to see what I can do. Also looking myself to keep it gainfully employed until I get where I want to be with business wise, but that's what I've got. Oh, and I guess I need to drop my LinkedIn in the chat. Sorry.
Thank you, Jesse. And Reginald, if you can share yours again too. I know you said you shared it before, but
Oh,
go ahead.
definitely. Be glad to.
All right, thank you. Any other recruiters? All right, if not, if no one else, we're gonna go ahead and go into our breakout rooms. So just remember, if you haven't switched over your codes yet, we'll post it in the chat so you can do that. You'll either have a V2I volunteer in there to lead the room or a veteran of our networking event, so kind of take charge. The goal is we want everyone to have a chance to do their elevator pitch and then get into talking about how you can help each other. So if you know of a resource, share it. If you have an idea or a suggestion, share it. And don't forget to take pictures so we can let everybody know what a wonderful time we're having today. So we're about to go into our breakout rooms right now. There'll be about 30 minutes, so have a great time. A chance to share her roles, as I know you didn't get a chance to during at the top. So
all right, so I'm now off mute. Okay, wonderful. So thanks, Carmen. I do appreciate it. I got to share it in my breakout rooms, so thank you. But yeah, so CSA is a mid-sized company, and I do lead the veteran and military spouse outreach. Happy to say that we're 53% military veteran, military spouse, and veteran hired to date. And I always say we're not done yet. But we have numerous roles, and I would love to stick it in the chat and maybe have you follow us. But we have a technical training role that I'm really trying to get filled, and that is in Great Lakes, Illinois. And so you'll see that, but I'll go ahead and drop this in the chat. I would love for you to follow us. We work closely with the DoD, and we have a lot of contingent offers right now because we do bid on DoD contracts. So we're waiting to hear about the award, which should be in the next month. And we talked about reorganization of the DoD and what's happening right now. And even though I know a lot of folks are rolling off contracts or ended abruptly because of all the change and everything that's happening in the DoD, just stay the course, because again, we're still going to be, collaborating with the DoD, and all kinds of work is popping up. But mostly it's in logistics, technical training, ISSO positions, if you're in information technology, information security. So I would love to invite you to give us a follow. We are growing, and I'll also drop the our site in there as well. And if you'd like to go under careers and you don't see anything right now, go ahead and click on the Stay on Our Radar tab, upload your resume, and mention that you met me at VETS2INDUSTRY, just so we know. Because I'm happy to say, and I think Carmen likes when I shout this out, I've hired 2 folks off of these networking circuits. So they work. They definitely work. Yes, we do have remote roles on there as well. So I think there's probably four that I know of. We may have added a few more today, actually. So I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat so you can take a look. And here you go. Now here you go.
And I confirmed that in the previous meeting that we just had in the breakout room, Ohio Warner and University of Arizona Global Campus, and we have over 6,000 military that attend our institution, and we advertise CSA positions all the time to all of our students and alumni. outstanding company, outstanding recruiters, connect you with amazing jobs. Definitely look them up.
Thank you, Werner.
Thank you. And I just love when you share how people have been employed. I love it.
You know, I'm going to do you one, I do you another solid. I'm just going to go ahead and put the entire careers link on here for you so you don't have to look. But you know, sometimes when you drop the link, you want to know all about the company as well. Because you know, can be choosy, but there you go. You'll see careers. Trevor, thank you. Good to see you here.
Heather, I've never heard of CSA before, but I just clicked on the career site, and from my past role at Spectrum, I worked on the military friendly employer awards for Spectrum, and I know how hard those are to get in and win. So congratulations on those. That's awesome.
Thank you, Steve. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Yeah, I'm super proud of our team. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Carmen.
And next up, I want to give Kishona a chance to share more about Empower.
Hello, everyone. Tishana Cole here. I am the Employee Engagement Manager with Empower, also the president for our newly launched National Military Connected Alumni Council. At Empower, we provide technical training in cloud, cybersecurity, tech fundamentals, network security, app development. And we also have a skill bridge program. So we provide a 360 wraparound with the technical training, professional development, as well as social support. And I know in the meeting, quite a few of you guys mentioned that you would love to volunteer for mock interviews and resumes. I'll definitely keep you all in mind. We are currently launching our mock interviews, but we'll definitely have more coming down the pipeline. One of the things that we are trying to emphasize is apprenticeship for early career opportunities, as well as interns. So if any of you guys are within that space, I'm looking to work with our alumni, I'll definitely be reaching out to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kishana. All right, next up is our other celebrity in the building, Trevor.
I don't know about if celebrity is the right word. I host the Disgruntled PM podcast where I talk all things project management, but I take it from a little bit of a different twist because my kind of one of my taglines is if you want to learn how to pass the PMP, my show is not it. I bring on industry experts from all walks of life and have them discuss their expertise and how that can make you a better PM today. Some past guests I've had are I had the sheriff who investigated and broke open the Pappygate investigation, talking about how law enforcement is like project management. I have my daughter standing right next to me.
Oh, I love that.
Hold on, let me.
Hi. Hi.
This does not happen on my podcast. But the idea is I bring on industry experts from all fields and
Oh,
go on upstairs.
yeah.
And we talk about how we can relate their experience to the show. Like, there may be somebody from V2I coming on soon. Somebody influential from V2I, and it's not Carmen, it's somebody else to talk about their experiences. And it's just overall how to improve yourself as a project manager, but it's not exclusive to project management. And it's on YouTube, all podcast platforms. Subscriptions, downloads, and positive reviews definitely go a long way when you're starting out.
Thank you, Trevor. And how can we sign up to be on your podcast if we want to be?
Reach out to me through LinkedIn. I have a very large backlog of guests already and scheduled, but I'm never going to say no to somebody who has an interesting story and can add value to the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And before we close out, I want to make sure um Werner or Will, if you have anything to share. I don't want to leave you out.
I'm just looking for a new place to play.
Okay.
I'm a project manager. I'm an incident response manager. I've been doing cybersecurity for a long, long time. I'm tired of the rift cycle and would like to find something that's stable.
I actually might be able to help you with that, Will. What I recommend everybody here actually. I'm Warner. I work in employer outreach, so I'm always speaking to amazing organizations each day across the nation, to include CSA. Heather and I have known each other for many years. But I would recommend for those who are looking for work here, please connect with me in LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to accept your LinkedIn connection request. I have over 6,400 plus connections, and being the work that I do every day, over 75% of them are recruiters. So please reach out
Nice.
to me. Yeah, let me know. We work with all kinds of amazing organizations, from the #1 medical institution in the country, the Mayo Clinic, to General Dynamics Mission Systems. They just did an information session in July. We have all kinds of amazing corporations and federal agent and state agencies we work with across the nation because of the students that attend our university, which is 23,000, and over 6,000 of those are military affiliated. So yeah, so it's a pleasure to meet all of you today, and for all of you that are attending here, obviously they're all connected with the military. So thank you so much for your service. Pleasure to meet you.
I will bounce you a friend request momentarily.
Thank you. And if there are any other organizations that want to share their resources, please do so. I don't want to close out without giving you that opportunity.
Yeah, I'll go. This is Jen Amos. I was just telling my group that I've been working on a book called The Military Spouse Benefit Plan. It's a more positive take on the survivor benefit plan, and it's directed at seasoned spouses who want that firsthand information on how to understand it better. It will be free once it's available, but for now, the introduction is available, and I have the link in the chat with the promo code already included in case anyone's interested in downloading it. And it's also available to share with other people. It's not just limited here. So if you are faced with that decision, the SBP decision, or you know anyone that is, I hope this book will help.
Thank you for sharing that, Jen. Khalil, did you have your hand up? Or that might have been me. That might have been me with my pointer. Anyone else?
I had a quick question for Heather, if it's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I saw on the website for your or on your career site that secret clearance is required. Do you guys help veterans regain their clearance? Because mine ran out in 2016. I retired in 2019, and my command looked at me like I was crazy when I tried to get mine renewed. So
Yeah. You know,
okay,
Steve,
perfect.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot for sure. But yeah, so it is really based on the client's needs. If you are qualified in every other regard, yes, they will help you
Okay.
get that clearance. And I see it all the time. I may not see it every month, but I see it, several times a year for sure, for the right person, because we have so many people applying. If we find someone who has the same skills and education very similarly that you do, but they have the clearance, we're probably going to bring them aboard first. But yes,
Of course.
it is very possible that the client will approve you.
Okay. Got it. I'll be connecting with you and sending you my resume in a little bit. Thank
Please
you.
do, please do. Yes, and that stay on our radar link on my career site. If you put general opportunity in the search, it'll pop right up, or you can go to the stay on our radar. Definitely put in there that you met me at VETS2INDUSTRY because it pops right up to me.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And before we close out, just a few announcements. If you need assistance with your resume, LinkedIn, or any part of your career search, please email us at support@vets2industry.org. We have a team of volunteers who are ready and trained to help you in those areas. If you would like to post your resume on our website for any of our employment partners, we'll share a link in the chat where you can upload it. And also, if you want to apply for any of the open jobs on our site, we'll share that link as well. If you are a business owner, whether you're a veteran or a spouse, we have a space on our website where you can list your business for free. You can add your website info, any videos, any other information that are with information with your services for free on our site. And then if you would like to donate to see more events like this, we'll share the link with you as well. And also we have an event tomorrow, August 13th at 1 o'clock, which is our Financial Planning 101 webinar. And then our August 22nd, Your Next Mission Transition webinar. And that's the one where you have the facilitator and then you have a chance to ask questions and do some live interactive things. So I'm just going to post those in the chat real quick so you have them. And don't forget to share your experience on LinkedIn. Share any pictures that you've taken. Just tag VETS2INDUSTRY. We'll comment and drive all of our people to your post as well. And then one last thing, we're gonna share the video from today. We'll send that to you. We'll send you a link to it. It'll be on our YouTube page, but we'll send you a direct link in an email along with any other resources that were posted today. So like Joel shared a flyer, we'll include that. And we'll include some other helpful tips and any links that we shared. We'll also share a document that has that in there too. So in case you missed anything, don't worry. We're going to make sure you have it in that email. But thank you for joining us today. And our next networking event is going to be September 20th. And that will be a Saturday from 3 to 5. And Matt Schurier from the Military Roundtable will be, let me make sure I say that right, because he'll get me if I don't. Hold on. I don't want him getting me. The Military Transition Roundtable, he'll be our keynote to share more about what they do and the resources available. So thank you everyone for coming out today, and we look forward to seeing you next time and at the rest of our events this month. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to all the volunteers who came, David and Matthew, who's behind the scenes. You didn't see him, but thank you.
You said the next one will be Saturday, right? There'll be an
Yes.
invite sent out.
Yep, Saturday, September 20th.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.